Hey, man.
Hey.
How are you?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. So I should say, like, you're from Toronto, but
I am.
anyone who doubts your credibility as a Vancouverite, even before you officially moved here, you were spending a lot of time here, right?
I was.
Yeah? Well, what did you love about out here?
Unbeknownst to a lot of the world, Vancouver has some of the most amazing studios in the world. Bryan Adams has a studio here called The Warehouse.
Yeah, beautiful.
There's the Armory. I mean, Guns N' Roses have recorded here. Aerosmith, Bob Rock is here. It's just an amazing city to record in.
And you know Bob Rock's here, too?
Yeah, I saw him. I saw his beautiful blonde hair flowing through the backstage somewhere.
Bob Rock doesn't walk, he saunters.
He saunters.
Saunters beautifully. So we're going to do a Q block party today.
Let's go.
We're going to play clips from a playlist you gave us, and you're going to tell us how each song relates to a certain place and time in Vancouver. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here's song number 1. Load Me Up by the Matthew Good Band. So Chaos, tell us about this song. What do you remember when you first heard it?
Matt Good basically comes down to me like riding my BMX bike with my Sony Walkman, listening to that song, being like, why does, for some reason, this song fit in my neighborhood? And like, who is this dude, Matt Good? So I did some research, and he ended up being from Vancouver. And that was the first time I was like, what's this Vancouver place? He's from Burnaby, actually. And as a teenager, Michael J. Fox was a huge dude for me, and he was also from Burnaby.
Yeah, shout out Burnaby.
So I was like, what is this Burnaby place, and who are they?
What is this mystical Burnaby?
What's this mystical Burnaby place? So I did my research, and then it was like, it's like me and my producers have a saying, it's like, we get a guitar sound in Vancouver, and it's like, can't get that guitar sound in Toronto. And like, Matt Good, that song kind of embodies that song. It's just I'm a very suburban guy. Like, a lot of my cousins from Detroit and like Brooklyn and Scarborough and Toronto would be like, looking at artists from there, and I was always like, I always had an idea I wanted to figure out what was going on across Canada. I just always wanted to know what was happening in the suburbs, because the internet has sort of made the world flat.
And tiny and small, yeah.
Yeah. So back then, if you heard a song and somebody related to you, you were so amazed that someone from so far away, like Vancouver, related to you. And I don't know, Matt Good, I don't know, weirdly enough, I related to Matt Good. I don't know why. He was the dude.
Let's go to song number 2. Take a listen.
Song number 2.
In New York, they want
Oh man, what a jam.
and I'm gonna be there. That city's calling, and I'm gonna be there. Into that they want me, and I'm gonna be there. Present the vibe all over the world.
Yo, all over the world, spread the vibe. Big dogs from the west, we ride with the Walsh Tribe. Me amigos at my side, ready to take the world on, do or die. As the fly down low, lyrical Vango. Stay international with the ill.
That is Rascals featuring Chaos and Top of the World. Where does that song take you? Where does that go?
I met the Rascals at Much Music in Toronto in 1993, and they took me on tour, and the last stop on the tour was in Vancouver, and I'd never been to Vancouver before. This is like 1994, 95, and I came over the Cambie Bridge, and Red One, who's like a legend and a host of Vancouver, Red One from the Rascals, make some noise. We were coming over the bridge, I was like, man, I'm gonna move here someday. He was like, okay, buddy. He was like, because he's used to everybody saying that when they come to Vancouver.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But here I am, so thank you, Vancouver, so much. I meant it. And just the Rascals was like, if you were around and you were like a teenager in your early 20s when the Rascals came out, they were kind of like Wu-Tang and Souls of Mischief in one band, because they were like these mischievous guys from Vancouver.
Yeah.
No one from Toronto had heard of anything that was hip hop outside of Toronto, and here come these two dreaded guys, and their crew was huge. They had two b-boys, and like they'd always show up with 20 people. It was amazing. They just kind of took the music industry by storm, and for some reason they wanted to include my nerdy self into the whole thing. and this song is a perfect example of Red One just being so gracious and being like, you're gonna do a verse on this song, and it ended up being like a cool thing.
So I still think we have a certain trend going. We have Matt Good from Burnaby, we have the Rascals from Vancouver, and then there's this.
Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say, it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling.
Little known group from Squamish. That's the Beatles, and Here Comes the Sun. So, Mike, why is this a Vancouver song for
This
you?
goes back to like the whole Bryan Adams thing. So the reason why I wanted to work at the Warehouse when my label EMI, when I was a kid, they're like, where do you want to record? I was like, Vancouver. They're like, why? The Warehouse. Because Bryan Adams had actually purchased the Neve board, the Beatles Neve board. So like my whole first two records, Joy for Rebellion and Atlantis, was made on the same mixing board that the Beatles used.
Amazing, incredible.
And I don't know, I chose Here Comes the Sun because Here Comes the Sun should be the like national anthem of Vancouver. Because when because when the sun comes out, people here are like shorts. Patio, here comes the sun. They're like, yo, let's
3 degrees.
Like
We're gonna
sandals, 12 degrees. Here comes the sun. Let's get it. Let's go. I think George Harrison it should be the national anthem.
Yeah.
And every single time there's a sunny day in Vancouver, which is every 24 days,
We should play it over some
they
speakers.
should just play it on every radio station in Vancouver.
You know what? We're in.
And
We'll do
everybody
it.
will be like, here comes the sun. Here comes the sun.
All right, one more song. Are you ready?
Right.
Ready. There he is. Come on, no, keep going.
Good one.
All right, so these are the notes. These are the true notes I have. It says, that's Bombs Over Baghdad by Outkast. Ask Chaos about David Suzuki.
I don't know about that one.
Any idea?
I don't know. I mean,
Did David Suzuki write these notes
No,
that was
no.
going on? Like, get me in there, man.
No,
Something about a party? Anything like that?
Bombs Over Baghdad, I mean, Outkast, I'm gonna go a little bit here. I know Andre personally from Outkast. I've seen him go from like the guy in Atlanta talking about Cadillacs to wearing a onesie, you know, in his career. And I think why I picked that song is that one day I was listening to the song in Vancouver, and the chorus is like, don't pull your thing out unless you came to bang. And I was like, that is Jimi Hendrix. That chorus is Jimi Hendrix. Like, the whole thing is Jimi. Then I watched the video again. I'm like, he's actually looks like Jimi Hendrix in the video. And Jimi Hendrix actually lived in Vancouver, for a lot of people who don't know. And I will just leave this sentiment that Vancouver is a place where you can come and get weird. Like, when I'm in Toronto and I'm in the studio and I'm like in the factory of studios and you're making a beat and your beat's like, and then next door the same beat's like, you feel this pressure to do what everyone's doing, but then you come to Vancouver and you can just get weird.
Yeah.
And people don't care. And I feel like the weirdest music I made in my life was I made it in Vancouver. And thank you, Vancouver, for that. And let me just say this. There's a lot of bands that could have been up here tonight. Cobra Ramon, Louise Burns. Like, there's so many bands from Vancouver. I love Jody Glenham, Hey Ocean could have talked about Vancouver, but my perspective is a Toronto guy's on Vancouver, Toronto guy's version on Vancouver. And in Toronto, everyone's like, get your money, make some money, make some money. Drake, The Weeknd. My shoe's 5 foot. Well, my shoe's 12, 13 feet. It's like everyone's just doing their thing. And then you come to Vancouver and you're just like this. So Vancouver's like a little bit of Nirvana because actually in Hindu, Nirvana means to blow out. So when you're in Vancouver, I'm just like.
Can we all do it together? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ladies and gentlemen, Chaos, everybody. Give him a round of applause.